All right, so I want to talk about God. And I don't really know how to talk about this one, so I'm just going to dive right in. On one hand, you have science, on the other hand, you have philosophy or religion. Let's just use this as an example. I'm not saying that's what they really are or how they really exist. But if we use this as a general example, science is trying to figure out how the world works. And science shows us a lot of how it works, but we still don't know how it all works. What science is doing a really good job of, science and math and these pursuits, show us the structure of the universe, the laws, the general laws of how the universe operates. But what's missing is where does the action come from? What's the animating force? Some mathematicians have tried to create what they call the God equation, I think some call it. And those are a pursuit to try and answer the question of, okay, we know how things are structured and how they work, but what's making them work? Where did the impetus, the action, the energy in motion, where did the motion come from? So let's leave that there. When we look at religion, religion, on the other hand, often talks about God or gods or something loosely that resembles an organizational or creative entity of some kind that generally represents all that is. And of course, all that isn't, because all that is implicitly also covers the concept of all that is not. So, that said, where a lot of people have a sticking point with religion is how do you prove God, or whatever you're calling that operating force in the universe that is making things move. Because again, we know how things work and that they're here and what they are. We don't know what's put things in motion, right? So here is where I want to start talking about God. That that word about literally means to go around. So anytime you talk about a subject, you're going around the concept of it because it's not the thing itself, it's you describing it with words, which are sounds that we ascribe meaning to. So, when we talk about God or try and define God, it's impossible. It is much like a mouth trying to eat itself, because you can't. I'll put this a different way. One time, I had the chance to win a t shirt if I answered a question about craft beer in a crowd of people at some event. And the question was, can you define the word um, flocculation? And I tried to define it, and I indicated that it meant that particles flocculate to another particle. They said, you cannot use the word itself when you're defining the word. That's against the rules. I see why. So, much like the mouth can't eat itself, we can't really talk about God because we cannot take a superposition wide enough, or however you would want to describe it. We can't take a superposition of consciousness that's possible to even talk about God. You're already not talking about God because you can't use the word itself in the definition. So even by trying to describe something as big as all it is and all it isn't, you've already not described that thing because you're leaving so much out. The words themselves are never enough. And to prove this, this is being explained in modern American English in the year 2024 here on the planet Earth, which I call my home. And if I said this concept in any other language, I would have to, it wouldn't mean the same thing. It would never directly translate. The words themselves would fail to directly translate. There might be words in my English language where there is no equivalent for that word in another's language. This is true. We know instances of this. So there's some food for thought. And ironically, I hate to do this to you at the end of the video, but the reason I wanted to talk about God was merely to tell you you can't really define or talk about God. You're always going to be going around the subject. It's impossible to take a superposition and define something with itself. So, the point being, now that you know all that, that's okay. Take care. Be gifted. Stay blessed.